impressive challenge, but Stanford did withstand the challenge, and they pick up the victory.
And 7th place in that event.
Folks, we'd like to take a second to remind especially the vendors here in our San Diego Crew Classic venue area that even though this is San Diego, we do occasionally have a little weather front come through, and weather forecasters have predicted rain showers for tonight. Most significantly, they're predicting winds of up to 15 miles with gusts to 25 miles per hour. So the San Diego Crew Classic would like to remind you to please take appropriate precautions with your equipment before leaving the regatta tonight. We will hope that this slides up and over us, but to be a precaution, kind of batten down the hatches, as it were, and protect your equipment here so that we can be out here tomorrow and enjoy a good day on Mission Bay with the San Diego Crew Classic.
Sure, it goes without saying that everybody understands that to mean that you need to store your boats hull up and preferably covered and as low as possible and tied down.
They're aligning the crews for event number 60. The women's
Texas B.
Collegiate, Novice,
Stanford,
and Petite final. Lane 1,
Oregon
University
State,
of Texas, Austin. And Lane 2, Stanford University.
Sacramento
The starters
State,
polling the crews. Lane 3,
Kansas
Oregon
State,
State University. Lane
Texas
4,
A.
University of Southern California. Lane 5, California State University at Sacramento. Lane 6, Kansas State University. And Lane 7, University of Texas, Austin. The boats have started. We have 4 boats lined up passing through the end of the breakdown zone, and the other 2 boats are only 3 seats down. We have Lane 1, University of Texas. Lane 3, Oregon State University. Lane 4, University of Southern California. And Lane 7, University of Texas. A little further back, I have Lane 6, Kansas State. And Lane 5, California State, Sacramento. Currently leading is Lane 7, University of Texas. Slightly behind them is Lane 4, USC. Tied with them is Lane 1, University of Texas. Lane 6, Kansas State, is certainly still very close to the leaders. As we approach the 500-meter mark, it's USC, University of Texas, and University of Texas, lanes 1 and 7. Past the 500-meter mark. Still have a close race. Both University of Texas crews are still in there. USC is very comfortable. being right up there with the leaders.
USC on the lead, and then the two Texas crews, one in lane 1 and the other in lane 7, going to make an assumption that lane 1 is the A crew and lane 7 is the B crew. At least we'll stick with that for the moment. And on the lead is the University of Southern California. This is the Petite final for the category of women's collegiate novice crews.
Yes, we're not entirely sure which of the A and B crews is in lane 1 and lane 7 for the University of Texas. I think Alan's assumption is probably right. If we've got it wrong, I hope Texas will forgive us. This is for places 7 through 12 in the women's novice event. Seen in the running at the moment is the University of Texas A crew in lane 1. And in the middle of the race course, Oregon State and USC.
Nobody has seemed to have fallen much off the pace here, which is a good thing. We have 7 crews in the race. USC continues to lead, and they are challenged on either side of the race course by the 2 Texas crews. And also Stanford, check that, also Kansas State has not gone away. Along the shoreline, 1 Texas crew, then out in the middle is USC, and then on the far outside is the other Texas crew.
So looking down the race course, the Texas A crew in lane 1, challenged by Oregon State. Oregon State in turn were being challenged by USC in the early part of the race, but Oregon State seems to have crept by them. And then on the outside, it's Kansas State who appear to have taken up the challenge of the University of Texas B crew. So as we come into the final 500, it's Texas A, Oregon State, and the University of Southern California, who seem to have achieved some separation between themselves and the rest of the field.
USC continues on the lead, but they are getting the rush from Oregon State in the middle, and then on the far outside, Kansas State is kind of in there, and the Texas B crew all the way on the outside, Texas A crew along the shoreline. So it is about 5 crews right across the leadership board here, with Texas A on the shore side, Oregon State beginning to make a move on them, and they have now passed USC and slipped into second spot. It is Texas A along the shore. Oregon State just got past USC. This is Texas A along the shoreline, followed by Oregon State, USC, then going out to the outside, Kansas State, Texas B. Trailing would be Stanford, check that, Sacramento State and Stanford coming down to our finish line. This is the Texas A crew, and they are the apparent yet unofficial winner. Oregon State really kicked it in with about 450 meters to go in this race, and they snuck in past the early leader, USC. Then on the outside, Kansas State made a smart row all the way down our race course. They got past Texas B crew, and then Stanford got up on Sacramento State. So it was an interesting late challenge by Oregon State that got them up and in contention. But the early leaders, or the leader across the front, was Texas A Crew, as we had a smart row all the way down here as the lead changed hands a number of times, which is somewhat unusual under certain circumstances. So the Texas A Crew picks up the Women's Collegiate Novice Petite Final. Next up will be race number 61. It is the Men's Open Petite Final.